Yeah, just going on from our Bitcoin videos that we've done, and we were the only people to call the crash at 123K into rising strength. It is interesting how we also said in that video, if it rebounds and comes up to the 200 moving average, it's a potential shorting opportunity. We did even double down on that, especially with something like MicroStrategy. But sadly, MicroStrategy wasn't even a good enough company to even bounce to its 200 moving average.
Yes.
But just looking at it at the moment, I mean, this is the weekly time frame, but on the daily, that has played out. And a specific moment, I mean, we talked about it, just me and you, was when Trump media sold their Bitcoin. But we can see as it got to that 200 moving
Yeah,
average,
so
definitely
that
resisted.
chart is the best advertisement that you could ever have for technical trading. It got right up there to the 200 moving average and bounced straight off it. I mean, it's almost like free money if you take that trade.
Mm,
As we said in this channel that as soon as we get back up to the 200 moving average, it's a shorting opportunity.
yeah.
And that was really just free money from almost 80,000 again down to 73,000. And that, again, it's just an example of how you can use technicals on these cryptocurrencies
Yeah.
for short-term trading. So that would have been a very good trade for anyone that took it. And the question is, does it rise from here again, or does it continue its journey down? We've long held an opinion that ultimately it's headed back down towards the 50,000 range, but it won't go down in a straight line. It will there'll be rises and falls along the way. It goes down in a sort of stair step manner.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the reason we originally said 50 was because of this consolidation here, the wicks here, and then this 200 on a weekly time frame. Very nearly got to it, and that's what was a bit disappointing that we didn't quite get the crossover, because then that would have been predicting the top at 123 and predicting them bottom to a millimeter, which would have been actually out of this world. I don't think there would be a single channel in the world that would have done that. But I don't think there was a channel in the world that did what we did, making such a detailed breakdown at that level. But yeah, I think now it's actually in line with that previous low. It could be that we just have a double bottom there, but historically, once it does the crossover, it does take a few weeks to then bounce. But every single time over its history, it has done a bounce after a crossover there, and even here. But I'm not going to go down to such a small time, a long time ago. But I think one thing to just touch on is we're going back to the daily time frame. Is yeah, that's and also just and how to enter. I mean, also mentioned convergence of other things like our round numbers happening as well. So I mean, 80,000 was right there. Plus, you've got the 200 moving average, and then another thing we like to look at is this blue line, which is the 9 moving average, not the 200. And that often is very helpful once you have another thing like a 200, like a round number.
Yes.
You can
Yes, you
then
want to
use
look
that.
for
Yeah.
confluence of factors, and sentiment's another one that we look at, but the sentiment is pretty neutral, I
Yeah.
would say, on Bitcoin right now. There's no massive bearish or bullish sentiment in Bitcoin right now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was difficult to, because normally we like to see, okay, bouncing off the 200s, and then the retest on the underside. Normally we like to see happen almost like immediately after it crosses under. So like if it had bounced off of here and then come up to there, that would have been even better drop and shorting opportunity. But still playing off that moving average, and will do until it finally starts trading above it. But yeah, that's a very good point about sentiment. I mean, that's something that
Yes.
we always say more than anything on this channel, and that's the
Yeah,
overriding thing. Is
it's the main thing that moves the markets, sentiment.
yeah,
When you see all these valuations and these AI stocks at the moment, it's driven by sentiment. It's not driven by value.
yeah,
It's driven by not wanting to the fear of missing out. That's what we're seeing in these AI stocks that are going to the moon at the moment. And
yeah. And Bitcoin's just not really had any. It's had the negative sentiment, and they had a bit of a rebound off the negative sentiment. But once it's been having this rebound, I've not really been hearing or seeing anything about Bitcoin. So because there's no sentiment either way, I think that's a case for the technicals just to play out as normal, and that's the case. But if
was
the sentiment was
exactly what happened here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, we did have Trump media. I don't think we touched on that. Um,
Our old favorite Trump media. Spoken about that stock so many times on here, and it's just such a pile of garbage But
They
yeah,
dumped,
it's
was
always
it
fun. It's always fun to
300
talk
million?
about it.
Yeah, 200 million Bitcoin, which is not, I mean, bear in mind they do have a I think they have a 1.3 billion size position, but they did dump 200 million at a huge loss. Their average
455
price
million
was a hundred,
loss.
say that again, sorry.
They've sold it at a $455 million loss, apparently.
Yeah, yeah, and the price they entered at was 118K up here, which is quite a lot. So the same time they were buying, we were saying it's gonna crash because institutions are the only things propping this up now. Where are the new
Yeah.
buyers going to come from? And now maybe in reverse, like institutions are then panicking, and now maybe there's an opportunity for others to get in. But yeah, it's that is a huge loss. That is it's crazy.
The big question is when the strategy become a forced seller because they've got
Mm.
a huge percentage of the Bitcoin market, and if they're ever a forced seller, that will not be good at all for the Bitcoin price.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is an example of one we were saying like bouncing off the 200, and then retested the underside of it. I mean, that was a beautiful day. We did actually call or at least talk about amongst me and you. But people also need to bear in mind that like what we say things, and you can go find people can go find these opportunities by just watching their general things that they have on their watch list, specifically the things we talk about. So they don't need to be up to date with every single video we do, but I mean, we didn't quite get up to it on here, but
But it
Bitcoin
didn't
did.
have the strength to get up to the 200 moving average though.
It's just such a bad company; it couldn't even get up there. That's the that's basically what happened there. Yeah, I mean, and your point about AI stocks and these valuations, totally have the same view. I have been seeing a lot of YouTubers now, talking about a massive crash, but if we're looking at, the main market, I think you've got to wait until there's at least some curl over and, like here, it started to curl over. There was so many days here you could see after this big curl over that there was going to be a drop. And we made a video around that day there calling a bit of a drop as we did on this drop. So yeah, I think that's true. It'd be very surprised to see a massive flash crash all of a sudden, even though I totally disagree with how the market has performed. I assumed it was going to go lower than what it did, but obviously with these Hormuz deals and no deals, I mean, there hasn't. Bear in mind, he was lying about doing, not lying, but manipulating the market, saying, "Oh, we're about to do a deal," and they're not doing a deal, and then Iran's people basically saying there is no deal. What are you talking about? And they were basically just speaking to some farmer in Iran rather than the actual leader.
Mm.
It's basically what it looked like. But yeah, that's
Well, we also said on here at the time when the war was at its peak, we said that because the market was continuing to rise in the face of bad news, that
mm,
that there's no way you should be short this market now. You should be on the other side of it, which again proves to be absolutely right. That
yeah.
because the market has continued to go up, and and I would also say, in terms of talking about sentiment, you say that there are a lot of YouTubers talking about having there'll be a massive crash. Well, the very fact that lots of YouTubers are talking about it probably means that it's unlikely to happen soon. It will happen eventually, no doubt
Mm.
about that. But if people are talking about it now, it's not going to happen right now, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and you made a good call on when that sort of dip was over. I mean, we could have made it slightly earlier because the technicals, once again, you can see that 9 period moving average. It was bouncing off of it every single day. I should have been trading this because actually I was just watching up my position, just get into more profit rather than shorting on each rebound. But then here, several days of just trading above the 9 period moving average, and then I think it was on this day here. You said, basically we're moving up on negative sentiment. It's going to rise, and people can go back to that video to verify that too. But
Yes.
equally on the upside, you can see how we've been squeezing, squeezing, bouncing off the 9 moving average and just rising higher. It's going to need some sideways consolidation and a slow drip down again, which is the case of most of these crashes when there's not really anything to retract the rubber band. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything that can really be talked about at the moment. There's not too much else to say, but um, I will.
Yes. Yeah, you might see a bit more of a sideways type movement in the market in the coming weeks, but let's wait and see. An old market adage was sell in May and go away because nothing much happens over the summer months. But let's see how it plays out.
Yeah, yeah.